Hello everyone, this is a really short video just to talk you through some tips to help you to manage your remote learning, which will help you to manage your time and then will help you feel a lot better, because if you're managing your time better, then you are going to be looking after your well-being. So I'm just going to talk you through a few slides that hopefully is going to give you a few tips to just make the most of your working day. So the first thing that we need to have a think about is just the general managing of your time. So what you need to make sure that you're doing is that you're following your normal school timetable. So make sure you've got your timetable somewhere to hand so you know what lessons you've got that day. If you don't have a live lesson, then for whichever subject you've got, say for lesson 2 on a Monday, then you must make sure that you do the work that the teacher has submitted during the time of lesson 2 on a Monday. So you're basically following your timetable as if you were at school. The other thing that's really useful is to make sure that you've got your books and pens, anything you might need for that lesson, in front of you before the lesson starts. So if you've got maths, make sure you've got your calculator to hand. If you don't have your exercise books because it's in school, your teacher took it in at the end of before the Christmas holidays, then make sure you've got some paper or a notebook to hand that you can work on. If you are working on paper, you need to keep the work for each of your subjects separate. So you can either do that by putting it in a folder or paper clipping it together. If you haven't got either of those two things, then just grab some scrap paper, fold it in half, write the subject's name on it, and then keep all of your work in that piece of paper. It's really important that if you are working on paper that you keep that safe so that when we're back at school, you can bring that into school and it can be stuck into your exercise books. If you're doing your work on Word, then it's useful on your computer to create a lockdown folder and have some subfolders for each of your subjects. So then you can save each piece of work that you do for each subject in those subfolders, and you've always got them to hand. It'd be a good idea to save the piece of work with the date of the lesson or the lesson title, and make sure that if it's a French piece of work that you save it into your French subfolder. Picture on the left will give you an example of that. Another thing that's really important is to make sure that you are taking breaks. My mantra, as many of you will know, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. You've got to look after yourself. So there's a number of ways that you can do this. A lot of your teachers will be starting their lesson with a PowerPoint slide that's got wellbeing tips on it. Make sure you read them, make sure that you follow them, because those tips are there to help you to get the best out of your day. At the end of a live lesson, move away from your screens. We're all spending a lot more time in front of screens at the minute because of lockdown and remote learning. So it's really important that when a live lesson ends, even if you're going to have to go back to your screen to get onto Teams to find out the next piece of work, you must take a few moments away from it. Go grab yourself a drink or a biscuit, have a bit of a walk around the house just so that you've got a little bit of a change of scene and you're ready to start the new lesson. This is really important. Do not work for longer than the 50 minutes of a lesson. So if you're in a live lesson and your teacher sets you off with a task and then tells you that that task is for the remainder of the lesson, then you make sure that you finish that lesson at the end of the lesson time. Obviously, don't finish it earlier. Don't think, oh, well, the teacher said we can go, so we can go. Do the work, but don't go beyond the 50 minutes of each lesson. If it's not a live lesson and your teacher's set you some work, then if it's a single lesson, work for the 50 minutes and don't go beyond that. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself into all sorts of bad habits of working far too late in the day and becoming overwhelmed. So stick to 50 minutes of a live lesson and 50 minutes of a lesson for remote learning. If you can, go outside. Really, really important to get some fresh air. Everybody's allowed to do daily exercise, so go for a walk, go on your bike. If the weather's a bit rubbish, go in the back garden, maybe stand on the back step for a few moments and take some fresh air in and get some natural light on your face. Really important. And then the other thing to think about is to make sure that you drink water throughout the day and also that you eat regularly. It's really important to keep yourself fueled up. So take your break time, take your lunch time, and just keep yourself nicely hydrated throughout the day. There's a separate You need to have a think about the work platforms that we're using. So obviously the main one that we're all using is Teams. You must make sure that you're familiar with it, and there's a separate video that you might want to have a look at about how best to use the most simple of functions on Teams. But if you are using your phone or a tablet, then you must make sure, if you can, that you download the apps rather than using Teams or the email, the Outlook app, through the online, the website aspect of it, because the actual apps on your tablet or your phone are going to make it much easier to access those platforms. So if you can, download them. But as it says here, don't carry on using them after the day has ended. So don't go onto Teams at 7 o'clock at night to check if there's any work to do. Your school day's ended then. You've not got any homework, so you must make sure that you switch Teams off, or you at least don't look at it until tomorrow. Mr. Teggreen, little picture of him there. He is our Teams wizard. He is our go-to person for the staff. We're asking him lots and lots of questions, and he's solving lots of Teams problems. He's more than happy to help you if you've got any questions or queries. So you can always email him, or you could always message him on Teams. There is going to be a separate little video for you to have a look at to just focus on the really basic aspects of Teams and make sure you know how to use those. So it may be that you want to take a look at that as well. Otherwise, folks, you must make sure that you are looking after yourselves. You must make sure that you are doing all of those things that are going to help you to be a little bit more efficient and smart with your time. But don't forget, we're all here for you. So ask your teachers, ask your tutors, drop us an email or send us a little message in Teams if there's anything you need any help with, and make sure that you look after yourself. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.